What's going on, everybody? I'm back with another new podcast. Now, some of you, this may be your first time here, and some of you may be returning after a few views. And you may be wondering what it is that we talk about here on another new podcast. Well, if you're wondering, or if anyone ever asks you, I want you to tell them this. He preaches the gospel of accountability. Yes. This life-saving message has helped men and women to take accountability in their lives and move forward. Now, before we get into anything today, I want to take a reading from the good book of accountabilities. And it reads like this. For truly, I tell you that if you had accountability the size of a mustard seed, you would tell your mountain of problems to move from here to there, and they would move. And nothing would be impossible for you with accountability. Now, doesn't that sound like a beautiful message? Are you ready to take accountability as your Lord and Savior? Well, if you are, take a second to subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and hit that notification bell so you know every time I release a video. And do me one more favor. Show a little love to the like button, but let's get into it.
I shot when I was 23. I married a young lady that everybody was telling me not to, but I was like, look, y'all don't understand our love. So we get into a huge argument one day, and the first time I tried to leave, she ran out the house and hit the windshield with a shovel and shattered the windshield.
Oh, that's pretty bad.
Not too long after that, we get into another argument. So I had a pistol on deck at all times, so she wouldn't grab it. You're not gonna leave this time, you're gonna listen to me finish this argument. I was holding our son at the time, right? I turn to leave, she shoots me in the forearm. The bullet goes through my forearm and goes across his forehead. I'm looking at my son, his face is bleeding, my arm's bleeding. I set my son down and I look, she's got the gun pointed at my head, bro. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting ready to leave. All I could do is close my eyes and all I heard was click.
Oh, shit.
So then she's messing with the gun. The only thing I can think of, if I try to run, she go shoot me in the back. So I just ran towards her and just turned into a UFC maniac. Wop, wop.
Now, let's start with the fellas because we have to hold ourselves to the highest standard of accountability because the world doesn't allow anything else. And accountability would have helped our brother here time and time again, starting from the very beginning. He had people in his ear telling him that she was a red flag, and accountability would have made you do a deeper analysis of whether this person is worthy to come into your life, because a woman can reflect badly on you if she's not the right one. So you have to be accountable for that. And you see all of the pain that was caused after that from one initial bad decision, and it turned into him almost losing the one person he should be accountable towards the most, and that's his son. He got shot and the son got grazed. I mean, it's crazy. Now, he obviously isn't responsible for her doing that. That's crazy. She has to take accountability for pulling that gun and almost killing him and her own child. But at the end of the day, if we solve a problem at its very smallest, we don't have to take care of it and its largest when it's out of our control. So fellas, let's take some accountability, but we're going to keep moving on with this thing because we have more to talk about.
I got us donuts. Those are so bad for you. Oh no, are they moldy? I mean, are they poisoned? Are you allergic?
No, I'm just saying.
You're judging my food choices based on a false standard of health again, aren't you? Guilty.
Diet culture, fat phobia, and systems of oppression have created false hierarchies of food, and it shows up everywhere.
For instance, harmful thought patterns like earning food through exercising, or that dessert is the reward for the punishment of eating vegetables.
Remember that you do not need to earn food.
We are all incorrectly taught from a young age that our size, and therefore the foods that we eat, are markers of our self-worth. Moralizing food can lead to harmful relationships with food and disordered eating.
Instead of focusing on good and bad choices, try to approach food with neutrality in mind.
The only foods that are bad for you are foods that contain allergens, poisons, and contaminants, or food that is spoiled or is otherwise inedible.
Eat without guilt, regardless of what society says.
Smarter in seconds.
Now, this goes against everything the gospel of accountability stands for. This is inculpability, and it's a deadly sin that we must avoid at all costs if we want to survive out here. See, they're basically telling you that your actions have no consequences if you add a little bit of delusion and feelings to the matter. But the problem with that is food doesn't care about your feelings. It is input-output based. What you put in, you get out. Now, I want you to keep this in mind. The average man should consume about 36 grams of sugar per day. The average woman should consume about 24 grams of sugar per day. And since we were talking about donuts, let's talk about a glazed donut. That has about 10 grams of sugar. For a woman, that's almost half of your daily average. And for a man, that's about a third. Now, take into account all the other foods that you're gonna eat throughout the day. The soda you might have had for lunch, the juice you bought with your dinner, that adds up. And I want you to think about it the same way if you had a factory. And let's say in this factory, it was people's job to break down rocks with a sledgehammer. And let's say we figured out how much rocks the average person can break before it's too much. What happens when you triple their workload? What happens when you triple it over the course of weeks, months, years? You're gonna run it down. And it's the same way with your body. Your body can only break down so much sugar until it starts to build up fat. And after a while, that's not gonna be good for your body. So you see, your actions have consequences and you need to be accountable for them. And that principle applies to so many different layers. So it's not just about eating. It's not just about fat people. We're not just picking on her for that. It's about a way of thinking. And that thinking needs to be holding yourself accountable for the things that you do so that you can become a better person.
Guys, the reason why she keeps on blaming you for everything is because she's in denial about needing to fix anything within herself. She doesn't see anything wrong with her behaviors. She doesn't see the need to change anything about her behaviors. She doesn't care that you suffer. She only cares about herself. She's selfish and you're selfless. That's the reason why it's not working. You gotta learn when it's time to go.
Now, this comes as no surprise to the guys. We know that women are often allergic to accountability, and getting them to admit that they're wrong is like pulling teeth out of the mouth of a hungry lion. You're facing a major uphill battle, and if you find yourself in this situation, just take her advice and leave. It's not always easy for us to be the ones to end relationships, but you gotta get over that because women today, they'll end a relationship on a dime. So you got to be willing to do the same thing if she's doing something that no longer serves you, as they like to say. But we're going to keep talking about this accountability thing because we have a therapist. She's going to give her perspective, and she deals with both men and women. So I hope that the guys are still around. Hope you girls are still around if you're here. But let's take a look at that and wrap this video up.
Regardless of what you think, not one man, and I've spoken to thousands of men from TikTok alone, not one of them has been disrespectful because I did not agree with what they were doing or saying or their opinions about what was going on in their relationship. Not one. But sadly, when it comes to the 382 women that I have had the opportunity to discuss their relationship issues with, take a lucky guess at how many of them were pissed because I didn't agree with a certain point or how they dealt with a certain situation in their relationship. 28. Each and every man who didn't understand why I felt the way I did, they probed, they asked, they wanted to really understand what was going on in my head, right? And I did the same to them. So for us to do that meant we were working together. We were trying to communicate in a way that would show each other that we were really trying to understand. We actually met in the middle and we were able to understand each other. You understand what I'm saying? So for the few women who are pissed that I don't agree with you, you basically want me to agree because I'm a woman.
Now, this is why I started with the men first, because it's easier for us to take accountability because the world from a young age tells us that we have to be responsible, and it shows us that we have to be responsible by the consequences that come behind our actions. A lot of times women are pandered to, and even the consequences are softened because there's somebody else to blame for a woman's decisions. Even if she was solely responsible for making them, the patriarchy is responsible, misogyny is responsible, society is responsible. So a lot of times women get lied to, and when the truth hits them in their face, they don't know how to handle it because they've been told that they're a 10 and they're perfect. So it's harder for them to take accountability as they get older. But we're in 2022 and we need to all be accountable because women said that they wanted to be just like men. They could do the same things as us. And now it's a situation where they have to. Everybody has to get out work. Everybody has to pay bills. If you're single, you got to make the money, come home, take care of the house, cook the food. You got to do it all yourself. So the accountability has to be there as well because the consequences are now becoming the same. There's less of that shield from society that men built into it to help protect women. So accountability, even though it might not taste good, it's like medicine. It's bad at first, but the results and your health benefit far beyond that initial bad feeling. So stick around because we're going to be talking about the gospel of accountability. I have a feeling that message is going to continue to return, but that's going to be it. So subscribe to the channel, like the video, and if you guys have anything to say, please leave it in the comments below. And until another time, I'll see you guys later.